How's it going, everyone? It's John here. We got an investing video today. It is Tuesday, July 27th, and Microsoft has released their earnings after the bell today. You're also going to see some content on short and medium-term vacation rentals, furnished rentals, whatever you want to call it. I got 3 places here in Southern California that I do that on, and we are right in the thick of busy season, so I'm trying to do a lot more content on that subject. You'll also see some videos on adventure travel and really some active living, because I got to do something besides, sit behind the desk and work all the time. But basically, what we're going to do, everybody, what I've got here is over the last couple of weeks, I've come up with a basket of 50 stocks, and these are, what I call the basically turbo growth tech stocks, right? And out of that basket of 50 stocks, I have developed a list of 10, which are called 10 strong buys that I believe could 10x in the next 1 to 10 years. It's actually really 11, and I'm actually going to update this on a quarterly basis. I do see that basket getting to about 75 by the end of 2021. If you're interested in that, if you want to see that, just go ahead and comment down below, and I'll show you how you can actually get your hands on that basket of 50 stocks. I also do have it in my tip ranks, but I don't have any of my values or anything like that in my tip ranks, so it's not an accurate a performance score there for tip ranks. But that's how I actually, that's how I created the basket was with tip ranks. Everybody, so Microsoft is in this basket of 50 stocks. Microsoft is not in the basket of 10 stocks because it's kind of obvious if you are an investor. If you're not that new to investing, basically, Microsoft is already over 2 trillion. So that's obviously a great, solid growth tech company. But at the same time, it's really hard to know how much bigger they're really going to get. Obviously, they'll keep growing. I mean, they're doing a great job with growing their revenue, but it's hard to know how much they're going to really grow, how much more they're really going to grow, and how fast they can really grow. Okay, because they're already now one of the biggest companies in the world. I think the only one bigger than them is actually Apple. But in any case, I actually did buy some Microsoft back years and years ago, and held on to some of it, but did actually sell sell out of quite a bit of it, because at the time I was a little bit more excited about things like Netflix and Amazon, and this is back in, like, let's say the 2013, 2014 area. But I did hold on to some of it, and Microsoft actually has been a 10x winner for me since getting into it back in about 2012, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the press release on Microsoft, and then we're going to take a look at some of their some of their financials. Everybody, in terms of the way that this basket of 50 stocks works, and also how I come up with the top 10 turbo growth tech stocks to actually 10x, is I have a 6-point scoring system. A couple. I'm not going to go through all the 6 points right now, but a couple points on the 6 points are: number one, I look for year-over-year revenue growth. The key number is really 35%. So you really want to see over 35%. And then also you want to see gross profit margins. What's very interesting to me about Microsoft is they have kind of like ridiculously high gross profit margins when you compare it to some of the bigger companies out there. Like, for example, Amazon doesn't have quite as high of gross profit margins, as Microsoft, and even Google. Actually, Google's are pretty attractive, but they're not quite as high as Microsoft. The only one that actually that has higher in terms of the big tech companies is Facebook, with just an astonishingly high, over 80% gross margins there at Facebook. But let's go ahead and take a look in here at Microsoft's press release on their Q2 2021 quarterly earnings. And also, just so you know, different companies have different fiscal year ends. It turns out that Microsoft has got a fiscal year end of June. So in addition to reporting their Q2, they're also reporting to you guys their fiscal year end, which ended June 30th of 2021. So we have revenue, and this is actually from the Microsoft Investor Relations part of their website, right? Revenue was 46.2 and increased 21%. That is Q2 2021 compared to Q2 2020, an increase of 21%. Operating income was 19.1 and increased 42%. Let's go down here. What we'll do is we're going to take a look at their the way that their fiscal year end numbers look and work. Hang on. Here we go. All right, so this is the 12, as you can see, the 12 months ended June 30th, 2020 to 2021. So we got, and if we take a look at them in the handy dandy spreadsheet, we got Microsoft right here. Most recent 12 months, 159, 143. All right, so if we take a look at from a growth perspective, we have basically the 12 months ended June 30th, 2021 of 168,088, so getting close to 200 billion. They are still trailing Google and Alphabet in terms of their annual revenue. And then the 143,015. So we're looking at about 17.5% year-over-year revenue growth from fiscal year end to fiscal year end. What is very interesting to me is, they've got a pretty astonishingly high, and they're excuse me, gross profit margin rate has always been pretty high. They're a little bit above this one now at 68.9% or something, whereas, on my handy dandy spreadsheet, I've got them at 68.38. So they're clocking in the consistent usual 68% gross profit margin there. And that's, again, fiscal year end 2021, their gross margin of 115 billion, 856. So some very impressive numbers there from Microsoft. Certainly exciting. It's kind of hard to get, I don't know about you, but it is a little hard to get extremely excited about Microsoft, although, their business can just keep growing and growing and growing, right? And already at over 2 trillion, it's a great safe investment to have and have exposure to, but it's kind of hard to imagine you can have really an incredibly high return from Microsoft. It's certainly great to have them in the actual stable, and have them as a solid investment and a performer. Let's take a look at them right here in terms of tip ranks. So this is actually, I developed, this is how I came up with my basket of 50 stocks, a turbo growth stocks. This is tracking since early June, and they're up 14%. June has been on fire. Also, July has mostly been on fire, certainly for growth tech. But here we have about up 14%, right there in the middle of the pack. But if you take a look at some of the smaller market cap companies that are also the turbo growth, they're pretty much coming in at like 40 and 50%. Like literally their stock price is that much higher since literally early June. So that's pretty amazing. Right here at the top, you got Roku, Asana, DocuSign, Shopify. I don't know, Shopify is really rich now. But as you can see, we got some there. So that is a little bit of a look in for you of the basket of 50 growth tech stocks that I've been compiling here. So there you go, everybody. That is the Microsoft earnings release. Took you into the handy dandy spreadsheet, took you to their investor relations part of their website so you could see their earnings. Certainly growing 17.5%. I actually, when I put together my basket of stocks, and I decided to put a group into the top 10 that could 10x in the next 1 to 10 years. I have a 6-point scoring system. I'm not going to go through all those 6 points right now. But one of those is year-over-year revenue growth, right? And then the other is gross margin. There's a bunch of others, of course. But if those numbers are really, really important, and a number that I have is kind of like a magic number, you'll hear me talk about it a lot, is actual 35. So when I say 35, what I mean is 35%. The reason I say 35% is because if you can return to your portfolio 35% a year, and I realize that that's a big number, but at the same time, if you're being smart about your investments and you're really, really staying on top of everything with growth technology, you really can achieve that, right? Especially when you're taking ideas from other people and stuff. But number one, you're actually beating the venture capitalists at their own game, okay? Because venture capitalists seek to return about 25 to 30% to their funds. And then also, they know that basically only 10 to 20% of their investment picks are actually going to even return them their money, number one, or actually return them some sort of an ROI on their investment. So the whole thing with 35% outside of that is that if you do have your portfolio and you can return 35% per year, you're going to be basically doubling the value of your portfolio, of your capital, or better every 3 years. And the same thing goes with a company, right? So if a company is actually achieving at fiscal year end to fiscal year end over 35% year-over-year revenue growth rate, they're going to be doubling their revenue every 3 years. So I really do try to look for a figure of over 35% year-over-year revenue growth. What is exciting is some of the other big tech did report a figure like that. For example, Google actually reported, Q2 2021 compared to Q2 2020. Their total company's revenue growth was about 60%. That's not fiscal year end to fiscal year end, of course. That is just comparing a quarter to a quarter. But at the same time, when you get, really any company that really beats that 35%, I think it's great. There are some of the smaller market cap companies that do have sometimes year-over-year revenue growth rates of literally 80%, 100%, some of them better than 100%. So that's really what something I like to focus on. And then certainly, obviously, gross profits of over 35%. So Microsoft certainly gets a point in that in terms of that scoring column of their gross profits, because they do have very, very high gross profits right there at about 68.9, 69%, almost a 70% gross margin for Microsoft. Everybody, if you like this, if you like hearing about growth technology stocks, if you like hearing about my basket of 50 stocks and the top 10 turbo growth stocks that could 10x in the next 1 to 10 years, consider subscribing to the channel. Go ahead and give me a like. And if you want to, put in the comments below if there's a stock you want me to check out for you, and kind of run it across my 6-point scoring system. Everybody, this is for education and it's for entertainment. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm certainly not your financial advisor. I do have a background in investing, though. First job out of college was Merrill Lynch. Then I did some investment banking, and then also I worked for Sun America here in Los Angeles for 3 years. I also am an individual investor, and I've got a great track record with my individual investing. I have a 80x return on Netflix purchase in 2012, 33x return on Apple purchase in June of 2007 before the first iPhone, and then I've got 3 other 10x investments. So everybody, I'm going to put some links below. I've come out with a credit and investment blueprint. If you want to check it out, go ahead and click those links and you can go check all that out. Other than that, have a great week.